The Titanic, a tale that has been passed down through generations, one of the few shared tragedies that everyone, everywhere, knows by heart. It was an ocean liner of opulence, a marvel of engineering that fate doomed to a watery grave. It took her maiden voyage on April 14, 1912, only to be plunged into the icy depths of the Atlantic. Yet her story didn't truly start until 1985, when her wreckage was discovered off the coast of Newfoundland. Much of the once grand vessel was claimed by the sea, leaving behind ghostly echoes of her majesty. But the divers, those underwater explorers, were able to salvage, preserve, and ultimately share a number of astounding and quite unsettling finds with the world. Take a deep breath and plunge into the eerie depths with us as we bring to light 15 spine-chilling artifacts recovered from the heart of the Titanic. Foremost, let's talk about the remnants of those who met their end in the icy Atlantic, the human remains. In the aftermath of the Titanic's sinking, bodies were retrieved from the icy clutches of the ocean, yet not all could be recognized. Some were ravaged by the harsh sea, their faces eroded beyond recognition, making identification an uphill task. Families were left in suspense, their loved ones gone, and whereabouts unknown. Many of these unclaimed bodies were given a resting place in cemeteries near the recovery sites like Halifax, Nova Scotia. Here, the Fairview Lawn Cemetery served as the final haven for numerous victims, while others were transported back to their homelands for burial. Still, a number of the recovered remains, tragically, found their way into unmarked graves. Identification was often a near impossible task, attempted through clues like clothing, personal effects, or physical traits. Yet it wasn't always successful. Adding salt to the wound, mistakes were made, bodies misidentified due to a dearth of information or plain confusion, leading to wrong bodies being dispatched to grieving families. This only further exacerbated the anguish of those already dealing with heart-wrenching loss. Yet with each passing year, the veil of the unknown is slowly lifted. Modern advances in DNA technology have made it possible to identify some of the long-lost victims of Titanic. In 2007, 2 unclaimed bodies were exhumed from the Fairview Lawn Cemetery in Halifax and identified using DNA testing. However, the heartbreaking reality remains that numerous victims of the Titanic disaster lay unidentified, their fates a mystery to their families. It serves as a stark reminder of the harrowing loss of life that occurred on that ill-fated night. Next, let's shine a spotlight on a more materialistic relic, an 18-karat gold necklace. On April 15, 2017, Las Vegas's Luxor Hotel and Casino threw open the doors to Titanic, the artifact exhibition, organized by Premier Exhibitions, marking the 105th anniversary of the Titanic's plunge into its icy tomb. Among the array of relics was a tantalizing piece, a locket made of 18-karat gold, belonging to a passenger named Virginia Estelle McDowell Clark. Virginia and her husband Walter embarked on the Titanic as first-class passengers to return to their home in Los Angeles, having spent a belated honeymoon in Europe. The Clarks, as told by Alexandria Klingelhofer, a curator for Premier Exhibitions, had even cut their honeymoon short. Such was their eagerness to return home for their son's second birthday. Like the majority of passengers, the Clarks likely believed in the invincibility of the colossal ship. After all, it was lauded as unsinkable, a claim that many on board accepted without question. But, as we all know, their reunion with their son was cruelly denied. Tragically, Virginia Clark returned home without her partner, bearing the weight of her husband's heroic sacrifice. When the Titanic had her lethal rendezvous with the iceberg in the icy Atlantic, Virginia was alone in her cabin. The chilling impact sent her seeking Walter, who was engrossed in a card game in the lounge, seemingly unfazed by the ship's collision. As the grim reality dawned upon them, they rushed towards the lifeboats, hoping to secure a spot on these vessels of survival. But the cold truth, as immortalized in pop culture, was that women and children were given priority for the lifeboats. Virginia was forced to part ways with Walter in a whirlwind of chaos and despair. As he made sure she was secure in the lifeboat, they probably exchanged promises of reunion, a reunion that was never to come. Third on our eerie list is the decapitated doll's head that saw the Titanic's end and endured 65 years in the abyss of the sea before it was found. Once a beloved playmate to Eva Hart, the doll was abandoned in the panic-stricken evacuation of the sinking ship. Captain Abel Frederico Nogueres of the shipping company Argan Bell discovered the unsettling remnant. He treasured the find for 15 years until his death, after which it came into the possession of Teresa Martin, a collector from the province of Huelva in Spain, after she reached an agreement with Eva. Eva, who often talked about her doll when recounting her Titanic ordeal, passed away in 1996, knowing that her once cherished playmate had been discovered. After a period of display in a Spanish museum, the head was auctioned off in 2018 for €650, a chilling token of a tragedy that sent ripples through time. Next up, we have an alluring collection of Edwardian perfumes. The RMS Titanic Inc. team, led by salvage expert Dick Barton, initially mistook the sealed pouch that contained these perfumes for an unremarkable find. On reaching the surface and prying open the pouch, they were greeted by a surprise. Their haul was actually a trove of 62 perfume vials. This scented treasure was presumed to have been left behind by a first-class passenger, Adolf Saffold, a 47-year-old perfume maker. Saffold was one of the lucky few who survived the ordeal, but his collection didn't share his fate. This discovery inspired the creation of a new fragrance, Legacy 1912, a blend of lemon, neroli, rose, and sheer amber that aims to encapsulate the era of the Titanic in a bottle. Our list wouldn't be complete without mentioning the recovered keys to a cabin that was never discovered. The existence of these keys opens a door to numerous questions regarding the passengers who might have occupied that cabin and their unknown fate. The keys imply that the cabin was inhabited at the time of the tragedy, yet no trace of it was found in the wreckage. It's possible these keys were retrieved from the debris or the personal effects of a survivor or a victim. The absence of the cabin could suggest that it was entirely annihilated during the sinking or claimed by the hungry sea. It's a chilling reminder of the many areas of the ship that were lost to the ocean, just as many of its passengers were lost to time. The discovery of keys linked to a cabin that remains a mystery opens up a plethora of questions and could shed new light on the events of that disastrous night. Imagine the intrigue, the unearthing of a tangible link to an inaccessible room buried deep within the annals of the Titanic. This discovery hints at an unfolding narrative, potentially charting the fate of passengers who resided within the cabin and the circumstances leading to their disappearance. The existence of these keys, while suggestive of an occupied room, leaves room for speculation. Were they retrieved from the wreckage or a survivor's belongings? Or perhaps they merely point to an unoccupied cabin. The tantalizing, unanswered questions stir up a thirst for more stories from the Titanic. Sixth on our list is a pair of gold cufflinks, subtly engraved with the initials JH. Offering more than their intrinsic value, these cufflinks present a personal and tactile connection to the passengers or crew members on the ill-fated Titanic. Considering their material and detailing, it's conceivable to think they belonged to someone of significant wealth or influence on board the Titanic. Who were they? What was their story? Were they a lone traveler or were they with family? What was their experience during the ship's final hours? The discovery of these cufflinks sparks a host of such questions and could provide fascinating insights into the passengers' lives. The narrative takes a more personal turn with the seventh artifact, a pair of leather boots believed to have been worn by a crew member. This discovery brings into focus the faces behind the disaster. The crew members who risked and often lost their lives in the desperate attempts to save passengers. The boots, in their silent testament, suggest their wearer might have been fulfilling their duty when disaster struck. They might have been knee-deep in water, trying to organize lifeboats, battling fear, panic, and the icy Atlantic winds. Moving to the eighth artifact, the deck bell, a crucial piece of equipment that played a significant role in the ship's catastrophic end. Frederick Fleet, the lookout on that fateful night, rang this bell to signal the sight of an iceberg, the harbinger of doom for the majestic ship. Salvaged from the depths of the ocean, this artifact was later donated to the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic in Halifax, Canada, where it serves as a stark reminder of the disaster. Every ring of that bell echoes the unfolding tragedy and the pivotal role played by the crew in attempting to avert the crisis. Our list continues with a stark handwritten account of lifeboat recovery, chronicling the grim scene of 3 bodies discovered from a lifeboat. Penned by an unidentified passenger aboard the ship Oceanic, this gut-wrenching report details the horrific sight: a man clad in a dinner jacket and 2 firemen from the Titanic entangled under the lifeboat seats. Further, it paints a grotesque picture of a severed arm held by Oceanic's boarding officer and a woman's ring found in the lifeboat. The auctioneer, Andrew Aldridge, describes the account as a stark reminder of the horrific aspects of the disaster, underscoring why Titanic was the ship of dreams turned into a ship of nightmares. This account also references a body in the dinner jacket, later identified as Thompson Beatty, a first-class passenger on the Titanic. This artifact encapsulates the sheer terror and reality of the disaster, serving as a chilling testament to the grim aftermath of the sinking. The heartbreaking saga continues with a small, poignant item: the wedding ring of Ellen Gerda Lindell, a Swedish passenger. The ring has a story of its own to tell. Elin, who managed to make it to the lifeboat known as Collapsible A, tragically drowned before rescue could reach her. Her husband, Edward Lindell, held onto her ring before he too met his demise on the same lifeboat. His body never recovered from the unforgiving sea. This artifact, therefore, holds an indescribable emotional weight, a symbol of a love cut short by tragedy, and a haunting testament to the personal stories of loss tied to the disaster. At number 10 is a considerably larger artifact, the hull of the Titanic. Recovered from the ocean floor in several pieces, the most significant section of the hull is a part of the ship's bow, measuring approximately 25 feet in length and weighing an estimated 15 tons. Additionally, a portion of the ship's keel and parts of the stern were salvaged. Condition-wise, these fragments bore the harsh scars of their long stay in the ocean depths, encrusted in rust and marine growth, and bearing the strain of deep-sea pressure. They nevertheless provided invaluable information about the Titanic's design, construction, and the extent of damage caused by the iceberg collision. The ship's scars corroborated survivors' accounts, bolstering the official narrative of the disaster. The state and positioning of the hull fragments even assisted in establishing the Titanic's trajectory as it sank, and substantiated reports that the ship split in half before its descent to the ocean floor. Next in line are letters and postcards, touching time capsules that offer a window into the thoughts and lives of the Titanic's passengers and crew. From detailing their experiences aboard the ship to penning down their future aspirations, these recovered letters represent a diverse array of voices from the Titanic. One such letter was a postcard penned by Isidore Strauss, the co-owner of Macy's department store, to his wife Ida, discovered posthumously in his pocket. Another touching find was a letter from a passenger, Alexander Oscar Holverson, to his mother, detailing his impressions of the ship and his future plans, an account made all the more poignant by his death. These letters and postcards serve as intimate relics that humanize the historical narrative of the Titanic disaster. A pair of binoculars found in the ship's crow's nest speaks volumes about the unfortunate sequence of events that led to the disaster. The binoculars, which should have aided lookouts in identifying potential hazards, were locked away with no key in sight at the time of the collision. This grave oversight has been recognized as one of the main factors contributing to the disaster. The iceberg might have been spotted in time to avoid the collision had the binoculars been accessible. Thus, the binoculars serve as a potent reminder of the tragic lessons learned from the Titanic, the vital role of proper equipment, communication, and preparedness in averting such catastrophes. Lastly, The tale of Titanic's last moments wouldn't be complete without the mention of the violin belonging to the band leader Wallace Hartley. The violin is one of the most recognized artifacts salvaged from the wreckage, a symbol of the musician's courage and commitment in the face of unavoidable doom. This violin resonates with the haunting melodies played as the ship went down, etching the musician's selfless act in the annals of the Titanic's history. Picking up from the last artifact, the violin, let us delve deeper into the remarkable story of Wallace Hartley, the band leader aboard the Titanic. Known for his devotion to duty, Hartley, along with his bandmates, played soothing melodies to maintain a semblance of calm among passengers as chaos ensued. A haunting refrain that echoes through the annals of the Titanic's history is the hymn, "Nearer My God to Thee," reportedly the final piece played by the band as the ship succumbed to the sea. The violin, found alongside Hartley's body and identified by the engagement ring tied to it, was sent back to his fiancée, Maria Robinson. Over the years, this artifact changed hands several times, going from auction to a mysterious purchaser and later making appearances in various exhibitions. Today, its exact location is a mystery, yet the legacy of the violin extends beyond its physical form. It stands as a testament to the indomitable human spirit, a symbol of the courage, sacrifice, and selflessness exhibited by the crew members who prioritize the welfare of passengers over their own safety, even in the face of imminent death. Next, a seemingly ordinary item, a wool vest, holds significant historical value. Presumed to have been owned by a first-class passenger, the vest is a tangible link to the opulence and luxury that the Titanic embodied. Its preservation showcases the wear and stains from the fateful night, marking the vest as an artifact silently bearing witness to the tragedy. The vest's original owner was identified as William Henry Allen, a third-class passenger who unfortunately didn't survive the disaster. Discovered neatly folded in his suitcase, the vest, along with Allen's dress boots, were later displayed at an auction in 2012. The vest, a product of meticulous craftsmanship, is a reflection of the lavish lifestyle enjoyed by the Titanic's wealthy patrons and stands as a stark reminder of the disaster's human toll. Today, carefully preserved and protected, it is displayed in a museum, its silent presence a tribute to the lives lost in the disaster and a solemn reminder of the Titanic's tragic history. In the 15th spot, we have a set of keys belonging to Samuel Ernest Hemming, a lamp trimmer aboard the Titanic who, fortunately, survived the disaster. These keys, which later fetched a staggering £26,400 at a Christie's auction in London, have their own tale to tell. Hemming, who began his seafaring life as a sailor at the tender age of 15 and retired at 43, was witness to the Titanic's ill-fated maiden voyage. His duties aboard the ship ranged from mixing paint to maintaining all decks, trimming the lamps, and ensuring their timely lighting and extinguishing. On the night of the disaster, Hemming was awakened by the impact of the iceberg and discovered air escaping from the exhaust tank. Despite reporting this anomaly to his chief officer, Hemming returned to his bunk, oblivious to the deadly peril the ship was about to face. Hemming's keys are a symbol of his survival and the ordinary tasks of ship life, which continued even as the Titanic was on the brink of catastrophe. These keys also represent the survival of a first-hand account, Hemming's testimony, which significantly contributed to the U.S. Senate inquiry into the disaster.